All right, guys, and we're back again to talk about some more interesting haunted places, people, things, and the top 2 haunted spots that we would like to visit before we ourselves become spectators. Yes, I said it.
Yes, you did. I wish you wouldn't have.
Well, there's no going back now. What's done is done. Just accept it.
All right, man. So I was thinking today, instead of ghost, I want to bring up the subject of voodoo.
Who do the voodoo that you do? I went there too.
You did. You really did. I was thinking more along the lines of like Haitian voodoo. Not sure how familiar you are with Haitian voodoo.
Well, if I'm correct, they're not real big on like the dolls tradition, right?
No. More along the lines of their stuff is more like an actual like religion, as opposed to like the things you like voodoo and like witchcraft and stuff like that. That's like a whole separate thing.
Yeah.
So with Haitian voodoo, it actually started off in when they were bringing slaves over. So they would bring slaves from Africa, and then the voodoo that they considered was more like along the lines of like kind of like a heaven thing to them. So when they were working as slaves, it was real bad conditions. I mean, it's slavery. Nobody thought it'd be fun.
Well, I mean, are we talking like back, when boats were typically just pure wood, all kinds of like barnacles and shit to deal with, all that,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so like 16th, 17th century.
Oh yeah, back in the day, way back.
Yeah, so they would bring them over, and then they would like work them to death. Like literally, they would run through like a bunch of slaves. Like the ones they would bring over, like the first cargoes, they would usually only last around a year because they would work them to death. But that's where a lot of the terms for like zombies came from. Because their belief was when they died, their spirits would go back to Africa, which would be their homeland, or I believe it's pronounced Guinea. Their souls would go back to there, so they had like mass like suicides. So like a lot of
just trying to get back home.
Yeah, basically. So that's kind of where like the term zombie too, is that's what they believed in. Like the Haitian zombies would be when the slaves would kill themselves and their souls would live on forever, but back in Africa. But there's a second form of Haitian zombie, which is the one I want to talk to today because I thought it'd be fascinating. I know you'd love it.
Well, I'm pretty sure, isn't that where they were? Because I know there was a big thing a while back when everyone thought, the whole zombie apocalypse is going to happen, and they ended up bringing up something from Haiti where there was like footage or recordings of people in this ritual or whatever it is. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know they did something, and I mean it was creepy as hell to watch.
Yeah, there's actually a documentary that I don't quite remember the name of it, but I think it was brought up by like PBS around the time. It was either PBS or the BBC. But the whole documentary is about how they would bring like the freshly dead back to life. And there was one case where a guy had been dead for like a year or two. Like everybody attended his funeral, they buried him. But what would happen is like the voodoo priest, they would go into the graves and they'd bring them back from the dead with the ritual, which uses pufferfish. Actually, it's dried ground pufferfish, and it puts them into like a zombie state. And with that, they'd have them working on their fields like eternally, which they had like zombie slaves.
That's interesting, yet also extremely fucked up at the same time. But I know the pufferfish is something that can be very dangerous when it comes to, ingesting it. So I can only imagine what else it can do and like what other properties it has that we don't know about, because I don't know how in depth we've been like, oh, pufferfish, let's study and see what it can do.
Yeah, most people wouldn't think you'd use pufferfish in voodoo rituals. But that's like the whole property of it is they would bring back the zombies, the freshly dead people. And like I said, there's a whole documentary on it. It's real fascinating. For next time you record, I'll get you that information. But it's like an hour-long documentary where they like follow the life of this guy, and from like when he first started getting sick till when he passed away. And like I said, it was like a year span where he had been dead, and then people just saw him walking around his village. Like, they're like, what the fuck? I thought you were dead.
So does he act like normal? Does he sit and, carry on conversations? Is he kind of just like out of it, like talking to someone that's strung out on drugs?
Kind of, yeah, that would be the closest thing I could resemble to. Like when somebody's like real like strung out and you can't like get their attention and like the focus, you'd be slapping their face and shit, like come on, get alive. But no, it's just like the shell of a person. It's just like the body moving, but the no soul. That's where they kind of like go back to like, hey, when you die, you go back to fucking Africa, and like your soul goes back to Africa. And a lot of that stuff too is like there has been like you've noticed more like in the media that you've seen more like, oh well, voodoo is on the rise or something like that. I remember Haiti had an earthquake a couple years back, like 2010, I want to say.
I remember they did have a fairly, what was it, like almost the highest you can go on the Richter scale, like a 9 something.
Yes, sir. And a lot of people, they were saying like, oh well, it's because of the voodoo. It's like you mess around with stuff like that and bad stuff happens. I was like, I'm pretty sure it was just a natural disaster, but that's like talking to how high voodoo is in Haiti, which is like insane because you're gonna blame a whole natural disaster on voodoo. But yeah, man, I've been doing some more studying into like voodoo and whatnot, and it's pretty interesting if you think about it. It's like witchcraft but spicy.
So, would you consider voodoo? I don't know. Do you consider it like witchcraft? Do you consider it black magic? Because I know not all witchcraft is technically considered black magic. Is it a blend of both? I mean, I know typically with any sort of magic, any sort of, whether it be witchcraft, any sort of offerings when it comes to Satanism, anything like that, there's always that give and take. Yes, you're going to get something, but what are you willing to give?
Yeah. So basically what's the difference between that is there's different types of, like, when people think witchcraft, they think like, oh, let's dance naked in the forest with a goat head man. But no, a lot of the witchcraft is like Wiccan stuff, where it's more like about drawing energy from like the earth and the trees. It's more like a peaceful hippie religion, like real Stevie Nicks, like, if you know what I mean, real Fleetwood Mac.
There you go.
But no, voodoo's more about like the balance of life. Like if you're gonna do something bad, you better be able to pay the price for something bad. It's like a scale. There's always gonna be like a give and take. Like you're gonna give, like you want this, but you're gonna have to give me this in return. And usually it's never gonna be something like, oh, here, you want this person dead. It's like, here, I'll take a Snickers bar for it.
Yeah, it's more like, oh, you want this person dead, so your uncle's gonna die.
Yeah. Say bye to your mama.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the thing. Those are, unless, and I hate saying this because no one should be experienced in that kind of messed up thing, but it's like, if you're going to practice, at least find someone experienced to teach you, so you're not just like, oh, I want this, and this, and then everyone around you is fucking dead and you have nothing, and then you go insane. Like, there's so much you have to watch out for when it comes to that kind of stuff, where it's, if you're not careful, you're going to do something that you didn't want to do and have unintended consequence.
Yeah, it's like, it's a lot better to like dip your toe in first with somebody that you trust and rather than going head first into voodoo and then just mess yourself up. But
yeah, like bring back Fido.
Yeah, pretty much. But yeah, man, like a lot of people think like voodoo's like related to like Satanism, but that's not the case. They don't really have anything like that. They have like, I'm not sure if you saw that a season of American Horror Stories. What was it, Coven, I believe?
Yeah, actually, I think like halfway or 3/4 of the way through.
You're halfway on Coven, dude. That show came out, that season came out like 5 years ago, man. But the whole thing is, I'm not sure if you got into this part, and I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's a figure, his name's Papa Legba, which, like, in the show, they represent him as, like, he's, like, Satan, but for voodoo. which isn't the thing at all. So Papa Legba in Voodoo, he's actually he's like the messenger for the in between. Like how I brought up like when you die, you go back to Africa. Your spirit goes back to Africa to Guinea.
Yeah.
He's the messenger. Basically, you can communicate with people in Guinea through Papa Legba, which is, I think, is fairly cool. He's like a human. He's like a spirit Ouija board.
Yeah, in a sense, he's like the voodoo form of a medium.
Exactly. That's exactly what he is. But yeah, you always have to come with a gift for him, though. Is the whole thing.
We'll be back after a quick break.
Are you a huge cunt?
Us too. Wait, can we even say cunt?
Of course! It's empowering these days. Cunt, 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 cunt. I'm Ange Ballastone, aka the drag queen, That Girl Gina.
And I'm Mike Fales, just a normal gay guy, I guess?
And we're the hosts of The Big Cunty Couch.
A gorgeous new talk show podcast where we invite queers and peers to sit, bitch, and be fierce on a huge-ass couch.
While we gab about all things gay.
So come get cozy.
And cunty.
With us. We're panned for platforms, so find us anywhere online and get listening, sweetie.
Or watching.
Or both.
Otherwise, why the hell am I in full drag?
And we'll see you on the big Oh, wait. I thought we were going to say that together.
No. On the Big Cunty Couch. Mwah.
But the thing is, what if you unintentionally die and you want to communicate? At that point, you have no gift. So what can be done then?
That's the whole thing, though, because if you die, but you're a believer in, like, the Haitian voodoo, I'm not 100% sure on how you would, like, communicate. I think someone would have to communicate with you, because you can't really... It's not like typical ghosts, like, once you die, your soul leaves. It doesn't linger around where you died, is the whole thing with them. But, I mean, you can always use Papa Legba.
Yeah, but what would you have to pay him, being you're already dead and you have no gift?
If you're dead, like I said, you can't communicate. You can't. It's not a two-way thing. It's a one-way. So somebody would have to communicate with you, and I think the sacrifice is usually like a small animal or like a burning of some kind of gift, but it has to be something like that means something to you. So you can't just be like, all right, well, here's some chocolate coins, my dude. You got to give something up. That, which is back to voodoo. It's always just about the balance of life, which is pretty. I think it's pretty interesting.
Now the question is, have there been... I know there's a lot of people coming, to the U.S. from multiple places, that I'm sure being included. Is that going to transition to people here and start becoming a thing?
Well, I mean, it already is a thing. Because, like, a lot of the Haitians, they had, like I said, when there was the slavery around, it was basically the French that were the slave drivers and all that. So you have a heavy influence in, like, Louisiana. You already have, like, the Haitian voodoo there. But since it's in America, like, whenever you bring something from another country and you try to practice it here, you're always going to have, like, the second, third generations that are learning it. They're going to put their own spin on it. So that's where you have, like, the Louisiana voodoo, where you're going to get, like, chicken heads and fucking voodoo dolls. And a lot of that is just kind of, like, portraying the media as, like, that's the big stuff. But it's also, a lot of it is, like, the voodoo queens and the voodoo kings, like, the higher practitioners of it. They're the ones that are, like, teaching it to the second, third generations. And they're trying to keep it as true as possible to, like, the actual, like, Haitian, like, voodoo. Because once you start adding too many other things into voodoo, you just try to spice it up. You're more just diluting it than anything. Like, I think one of them, like, the higher up, like, first voodoo kings, his name was, what was his name? Sorry. They call him, like, Prince John or not Papa John, because that's a pizza place. Prince John or Bayou John.
Papa John's, give me a pepperoni pizza with a side of extra voodoo.
Extra voodoo. But no, he was one of, like, the first voodoo kings, which is, like, the higher up practitioners. Like, like in like Catholicism, you have, like, the priest, and then you have, like, what's higher up than a priest? You have, like, the cardinals. You have stuff like that, and you have, like, the Pope. So the voodoo kings would be, like, the cardinals up to, like, the Pope level. But this guy's, like, high up. He was the one that first introduced. He brought like, voodoo from Senegal to the United States, like way back, and he was the one that started teaching people how to like properly do it, so they can they wouldn't think like, oh, this is a sham, nothing's happening. Like, you have to know how to do it. But yeah, Prince John, he's the one, like the mainstay. Like, I don't really know popes, but he's like he'd be like high up there though.
So the question is, now when it comes to these Haitian zombies, have there been cases of them, you know, attacking people or just causing random destruction? Like, how do you know that you can tell them, hey, do this, and that's just what they're going to do? Like, is there some sort of rule to where if you bring this person back, they're bound to you? Is it...
So that's the whole thing, is when people bring them back, they're paying a fee to like the voodoo priest that's gonna do it. So then they're like indentured to that person. But no, it's not like a typical zombie. It's not where they're like eating the flesh or anything like that. So like the westernized zombie, or that's referred to as like the white zombie, would be like running around biting people's faces off, eating brains. But no, the Haitian zombie, what they consider more like the feasting on, and like instead of flesh, is the person's soul. So when you become like a Haitian like servant zombie, you don't eat, you don't poop, you don't do any of that stuff. You just it's just the shell of the person, and it's like feeding on like the soul of the fucking, when they go over to back to Africa. So since their body has been disturbed, there's still a part of their soul attached to it. So that's what the Haitians believe, like it's the zombies feeding off of. That's what keeps it going. But no, I don't think there's been like any cases of like them attacking anybody or anything like that.
Yeah, and I don't mean like, you know, necessarily brains or anything, but like just randomly like attacking person or people and like lashing out because of, you know, their soul being able to know that there's just a little attachment, something's not right, but not being able to also have any control to fully do anything.
Yeah, so it seemed more like a natural force. But up to my research, I haven't seen anything about any of the Haitian zombies attacking anybody. But I also think like after a while, they just put the body back. Like, you can only get so much use out of it.
Well, the question is then, at that point, can you, say, use someone else's soul if you wanted in that same body?
Well, that wouldn't be the case, because like how most religions believe, you only get one soul to a body. So I'm not sure if they'd be able to like do like a possession of another person's soul into a body. But the way it works is they get the person that died, and then it's feeding off of their soul. So I don't know if like when they're done with the zombie, if it's like they ran it to where the point where there's no more soul left for the zombie able to consume, or if it just the body can't physically like keep going. But that's the interesting thing though. That's a good theory, if you could put somebody else's soul into that body and just keep running it that way.
Well, I mean the same thing too, because if the body still deteriorates as if it were alive, I mean, have they ever done something to like cut it, see if it still bleeds, anything like that?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything like that. Like I said, I've only had like the minimal, just the documentary and then some side research I've done. But I don't know. That would be interesting though, just like scientific, just like science-wise, to see like, hey, does it still react like a human? Like if you hit its knee, is it still gonna kick?
Yeah, or does it just kind of shrug it off? Like,
yeah, like if it's like a body with rigor mortis that just keeps going.
yeah.
Because after a while, when you die, you get rigor mortis. Like, you're not gonna move anymore. Like, you become stiff. But then you see these zombies like walking around.
Yeah, and it's like after a year, you think that body would be fully set in, you know, rigor mortis. So how in the hell would it become able to move or flexible at that point?
Yeah, like when they brought this guy back in that documentary, he looked worn out. He looked like he was already rotting. But after they did that, he just he stopped. He wasn't rotting anymore. He's just like they brought him back. That's just how he looked. And I think they had him for maybe like 2-3 years. And then after that, they put him back. They thought, hey man, that's enough work out of this guy. But imagine, that's like the ultimate kicker right there. Like, you think like, I worked my whole life, I lived a good life. When I die, I'm gonna have my eternal rest. And somebody be like, nope, get up, you're gonna plow these fields at 5 a.m. every day.
You get no rest, no peace.
Hey man, ain't no rest for the wicked.
But my question is, while they're doing that, since their soul is gone, but there's still that connection to the body, what do they feel? What does that soul feel? Does it feel anger at the fact that the body is being used and it can't do anything, so technically it wouldn't be at peace?
Yeah, see, I'm not sure with that though, because nobody's ever like tried to Ouija board the spirit that's inside the body. The body's being consumed, but like I said, like it feeds off of the soul. So at some point, like if you run it for too long, like, is the soul gone? Like, did it eat all the whole soul, or where does it go after it's been fed?
Can the soul even be fully eaten, or is it something that just keeps on going?
I don't know, man, because like I said, after a while they'll just put him back to rest, because like the body can't keep going. So I don't know if that's like, hey, it ate the whole soul, or the body just can't go any longer. But that's an interesting thing. We should try to find a voodoo practitioner and talk to them about this.
That would definitely be an interesting thing, because it's also, I mean, it ties into everything that regardless of what you believe in, there is some form of life after death.
Yeah.
Regardless of if it's you're stuck plowing fields as a mindless corpse wandering around, or, you know, you kind of die, go, you know, into a ghost and then live at that place of death forever. It's just one of those things where life after death it seems to be inevitable.
Yeah, it's universal. Like, even like every religion, you'll have like some concept of like life after death. Like Christians, you either get heaven or you get hell. The Haitians, you go back to Africa. Your soul goes back to Africa. The Ostrich, if you died heroically or you died doing a good deed, you go to Valhalla. Just, it's crazy that every religion,
you still go to hell.
Yeah, but it's not as bad though. It's not as bad as Christian hell. It's like diet hell.
Yeah, but it's still pretty bad for them, you know.
Yeah. I mean, you're stuck from like eternal glory. But I think that's crazy though. Like even way back then, that cultures had like a concept of a soul. Like, where do you go after you're dead?
I don't know. Maybe there's something we're not seeing. Maybe there have been people that, and I'm not talking about near-death experiences,
Yeah,
or out-of-body experiences, but maybe there have been people
like
that
fully
have
died.
fully died, been dead for days, maybe even weeks.
Yeah.
And came back and were able to see that, but either will not share, or, you know, whether you want to turn it into a conspiracy and say the government caught wind, doesn't want people to know. Because, I mean, everything that you can learn is power of some sort. Like,
yeah.
I mean, they say we can only use, you know, 3% of our mind capacity?
I think it's like 10 or something like that.
So it's one of those things, if we could gain full capacity of the mind, then what would we be able to see? Would we be able to visually see
Like
that soul, the spirits, or the soul that's being
but
feasted
that's the whole
on?
dangerous concept right there, because like even if we could use a whole 100% of our brain and we could see like different specters, like we can see different things around us, how many of us would be able to handle that though? Like, I think there'd be a lot of people killing themselves or going crazy about stuff like that. Because personally, what is it? The government just declassified information. Like, yeah, there's aliens, and yeah, there's such thing as like the chakra balance in the body. Like, it's been proven. And I thought it was kind of weird that they dropped it during like the whole COVID shit, and like during the whole fucking the Black Lives Matter riots. Like, you have everybody distracted. You're gonna drop aliens that they're real on us during this time. I was like, I mean, it makes sense because a lot of people would be like, I don't give a shit about aliens right now. It's like, people are dying from this virus. But
Well, and that's probably part of it, because then the people that are like, I knew it the whole time, no one cares.
Like, even if they're right, nobody cares, because there's like much bigger things going on right now.
But, and it's one of those things too, like, even if you think about the alien factor of things, with all the technology they have, what can they see? You know, who's not to say they're not walking around and they're seeing dead people, they're seeing spirits, they're seeing Valkyries, they're seeing, I mean, the list goes on, demons, I mean...
That's the whole thing, though. Imagine if you had the whole 100% of your brain, and you're just going around being able to see demons and Valkyries and what. I feel like you would go insane, though. I feel like that's like too much knowledge for you. I think like what we know now is like what the government knows people can handle. Before, I mean, you've seen it. We're not a civilized group of people. Like we will easily turn on one another. And imagine if an alien comes down. You don't think they're gonna just kill the alien?
Oh yeah, there's no ask questions later. But imagine if they were like, oh yeah, we can officially prove that possessions are real. We can prove that ghosts are real. Hell, we found a way to contain ghosts in a room and make it where they can be seen.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's one of those things where you just don't know. I mean, who knows? They could have a soul hidden somewhere. And actually,
dude, I don't doubt it, man. They got like a demon captured somewhere in a jar.
I mean, that's the crazy thing. But if you think about any sort of practice, whether it be witchcraft, voodoo, anything, there's always the belief that a soul or a spirit or anything can get trapped inside of an object.
Yeah, they always have that. I don't know, man, because I think that's more along the lines of like, if we don't have like a way to explain like how this could be stopped, like we feel like, oh, well, if you're out of control, like we can't do anything about it. So I think that's why more people want to be like, how do you trap a ghost? It's like, how do you trap a demon? Like, I need to know that there's like a contingency that I can like stop this threat. And I think that's like, if the government comes out like, oh yeah, demons are real, we don't know how to stop them yet though. I think people are gonna be like, what the fuck? Like, you can't tell me that.
Well, and you know, that's one of the things where I think, depending on your faith, either your religion or your strength of will has proven at some point in time, whether it be present time, back in, you know, history, that there are ways to at least get it to leave you alone and your family alone. It may not work for everybody, but at least there's some form of trying, or just some form in general that works.
Yeah, there's always going to be like some kind of way of stopping it, because I mean, there's been centuries and centuries of people before us. Like, they have to have something of like part of this, right?
Yeah, I know ghost and voodoo and all that didn't just pop up randomly here. Like, we weren't just born with it, you know.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things too where you think about it. Okay, in voodoo they have voodoo dolls.
Yeah.
Is there an actual part of that person's soul that's being projected to the doll?
Yeah.
That makes that connection, so whatever happens.
Like some kind of fucked up astral projection.
Yeah, basically that, or, you know, kind of like a weird, almost out-of-body experience, but not one that you actually experience yourself, just your soul.
I don't know, man, because that's the whole crazy part of it, too. Like, people, like, for years, they've been trying to prove the existence of, like, the person's soul. Like, did you ever read about the experiment they did with that person that was, like, right on the brink of dying? And they weighed the body before he died, and then they weighed the body after. And when he died, like, as soon as he died, he lost, like, 7 pounds, so people were thinking that's, like, his soul that just straight out of his body.
But people also don't forget, as soon as you die,
you evacuate your bowels.
You evacuate everything in your body.
Yeah. They've also done, there's some footage that'd be interesting, whoever's listening, or even you if you want to check out. There's, they have a video of, like, the heat, what's it called, the heat signatures? of a person who's dying. Like as soon as they flatline, you can see like something like rise up out of the body. Which I think I don't know if it's fake or not. It might be like a doctored video, but that made me feel a little weird knowing that like, hey, that might be our spirit that just like straight pops out of us when we die.
Yeah, I mean it's hard to say, and it's one of those things where do you even really want to know what happens? I mean,
you can't handle the truth.
Yeah, and there's just so many different things. We got to find, well, now we have to find a voodoo practitioner to talk to, take this little setup over. We need to still go. I still want to go to the Casa Grande domes because of all the skinwalker and just crazy haunt activity. I mean, there's just so many places, so many different, whether it be, like infected souls, ghosts.
Yeah, like there's areas you want to visit before we join them in the afterlife.
Yeah, whether it be as a Haitian zombie, because again, with all this COVID, you never know what the hell's going on, who's going to appear where. I mean, you just never fucking know.
I'm gonna be real mad if when I die and then I just come back on somebody's field. Like, man, what the hell? Did I just get Haitian zombied?
I mean, it's either that or you'll be like a permanent mule for some drug lord in Mexico.
That's fucked up, but that'd be a great life. Like an actual mule. Not like a person. Like I want to come back as a mule that just runs drugs for like some guy named like Pablo or Jose.
Yeah, but the question is where, I mean, well, see, and that's the other thing. Okay. So if the zombie comes back and it doesn't bleed, technically you could cut it open, shove all that kind of stuff inside it, and just have them walk across a fucking border.
I think we're going too deep in this subject, so let me ask you a different question. Yeah, man, I mean, that could be possible, but I'm pretty sure if you see just like a zoned out guy walking to the border, they're gonna probably just cap it right where it's walking.
Yeah, that's true. But now, what do you think, if any, is a correlation between the soul and the spirit?
I don't know, man. I always thought it was the same thing. I always thought like, hey man, your soul is your spirit and your spirit's your soul, and when you die they just rise up into heaven. That was my belief. But like the more that you start studying like other religions and stuff like that, you'll see that everybody has their own like little concept of what happens to you, and like it's strange, man. We've been on this planet for so long and we can't come up with a general consensus of what happens. Like, you go somewhere else. Like, that's what everybody's saying. Like, your soul leaves. But then you'll have, like, people will be like, no, man, your soul is just energy. And when you die, it becomes displaced. So now your energy's just roaming around. Which is... It's kind of weird to think about, actually.
On what the general consensus is, if you can think up something, as crazy or not as it may be, and ask the question, I wonder if it's probably happened. And the question is, where does all this stuff come from? Like, where does, if you die, you become a ghost. Well, what happened in the past that was so strong to prove that point that it became a thing? Same thing with the voodoo. Like, if you do this, like, who's to say some practitioner long before anyone even knew what it was called didn't raise like a fucking army to fight for him? I mean,
yeah, and
where did it all come from?
That actually just like a thought popped in my head, like right when you were saying that. What if it's all just the same thing, man? What if like all religions have the exact same thing, just different people described it in different ways, like a kind of fucked up game of telephone? Like they'll tell you one thing, and then the more you pass it down, the more it changes. What if this is all just based off of like one just like main like religion that over time has been muddied into like a bunch of different religions? Because if you look at like every religion is like side by side by side by side, the concept of the soul is always almost the same thing in every single one. So that's just my thought. Like, what if it all comes from like one place and just different people passing it down into different ways and just stems off into these different religions?
Well, I mean, and if you look at the only difference between really gods in any sort of religion is there's either one or there's multiple. That's really the only
Yeah.
difference. Other than that, they all end up doing the same thing. Creating, yes, some create specific things, but you have them all together. They create the same as the one god in another religion.
Exactly, man. That's. Are you calling out multi-religions? You calling them like a Voltron, kind of?
I mean, basically, and it's, but again, it's like what secrets do certain religions hold in some of their, higher up places? I mean, a perfect example. What is so important and hidden in the Vatican that it has its own laws, its own police, its own army? What exactly is there to protect in there that could be keys to a bunch of different ways of fixing life as we know it, or casting out demons, or finding ghosts and helping them pass, to whatever they go to after they're gone, or, maybe giving that lifeless person that soul's being feasted on a chance at regaining their body and their full function.
Yeah. I don't know, man. The Vatican's kind of sketch to me. Like, you have all this stuff, but you won't tell us what it is. Like, you'll give us, like, little glimpse into it, but you'll never, like, fully tell us what it is. And, that's strange, man, because that you brought that up. A while back, I had stumbled upon some stuff that's like, it's like 10 artifacts that are in the Vatican that they won't tell you about. They have like the entombment where Jesus was like the stones where they had laid him down after he was crucified. They say they have that. In Mexico, there's a whole story about this guy named Juan Diego, where Virgin Mary appeared to him, and they have like his little sarape, like his little, like, I don't know how to say it. It's like a shirt kind of thing, like a poncho basically, where she appeared on it, and they have it, but it's like perfectly preserved. And this was like hundreds of years ago where this happened, but it looks exactly the same. Like, no damage to it, no like staining, no tearing, no fading. And but the one thing that really caught my attention that they have there is the Red Bible, which is the Satanic Bible. And they're saying, like, in it you can, like, there's instructions on how to summon like different like devils and like demons. And I mean, with stuff like that, I can understand that they wouldn't want it out there, just like random people summoning demons into the world.
Yeah, that would cause even more chaos than there is now, and that's the last thing we need.
Yeah, like if you look around, you got people like playing with like Ouija boards, summoning like ghosts improperly and like different spirits. Because I'm not sure like if through a Ouija board you can summon a demon as well. Because I think it's just open. I think it's more like an open like forum to whatever's around.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard of demons coming from Ouija boards. There's supposedly the one, Zozo, that's the actual Ouija board demon, but that is not the case.
Yeah.
So anytime you hear that, do not believe it. There is no demon named Zozo. That's all just made up bullshit.
I don't know, man. But then there's also like the Pazuzu board, though, where that's like meant to like specifically draw out like one demon, which is Pazuzu. But like the Ouija board, it's like more open ended. Like it can be anything that comes through. I actually have a small story about that. So my mom, for a while, she dated this guy. His name was Trini, and he would take us to like his little village where he grew up. And one of the times we had visited, and everybody, like his family, they was like real like serious and like real like just depressed, and that's when we had met them. And so it turns out that his niece was playing around with one of the Ouija boards, and then like after she played with it, she was acting like real strange and whatnot. And like a week after they found that she played with it, she ended up hanging herself with an extension cord through like the little chapel that they had in the front yard. And that's why everybody was like real depressed. And that's why I always thought about it. Like people would be like, "You want to play the Ouija board?" I'm like, "No, I do not."
Yeah, my mom actually had one back in the day, and she had invited some friends over to play. And I remember they didn't get too many answers, but it told them that someone was going to die that night. And, so they're like, all right, well, we're going to end it, go to bed. And one of the friends that left her house ended up dying on the way home in a motorcycle accident. And then she kept trying to throw the Ouija board away. It would not go away. She lived by herself. No one else had keys. She would throw it away in the dumpster, come back after work, and it would be in her pantry where it's supposed to go. It took burning it for it to finally never come back.
Yeah, man, that's the whole thing, though. Is like, if you're fucking with something like that, it's, I don't think it's ghosts that you're bringing in at that point. Because, like, if you have a Ouija board that keeps coming back to you, and then you got a teen that's hanging themselves in the chapel in front of a statue of, like, Jesus and the Virgin Mary, that might be more of, like, a demon thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's straight up an insult, especially the hanging one. I mean, that's just blatant disregard for, a holy symbol.
Yeah, it's like spinning the face of Jesus. How you can spin Jesus' face like that?
Some people, man, they just do not care.
Oh no, man! Demons don't give two fucks.
They do not. But before we sign off here, instead of 2, I just want to know your top haunted place that you want to visit, either anywhere in the world, anywhere in just the U.S., the state. Your top place to go.
Oh man, that's a hard one. Just
and
anywhere.
If you take mine, I will turn you into a ghost.
All right, I'll let you go first, just so I don't accidentally take yours.
Mine, I can never remember the state it's in, but Waverly Hills Sanitarium, insane asylum, one of the most haunted out there. It's insane. I've seen many videos done there, and it just never ceases to amaze me. The amount of activity, the amount of answers, all the crazy shit there. People were treated absolutely horrible, and that's why they closed it down. It was, I think, one of the worst asylums, and that's what made them kind of say, okay, fuck this, we gotta close it down. This is not okay.
So with something like that, where you think it's like so many people, like so much suffering there, even if they tear it down now and they rebuild something on top of it, you think there's still going to be that energy attached to the new place?
I think the energy at this point is probably more attached to the land than the building itself, with all the shit that went down.
Yeah, it's like deep in the soil now.
Yeah, it's almost like, in a sense, like Indian burial ground status.
Yeah, man, you should jump on trying to get to that place before they try to rebuild into something else.
Shit, if I go, I'm taking your ass with me.
Fuck that, dude.
You never go alone.
I'm sitting in the car. It's a bag of Slim Jims and a flashlight.
And then and then I have a video, and, I end up falling off the roof and dying on the hood of the car, and you check my phone, and there's a video of me getting thrown off. By nothing.
By nothing. Ghost. Dun dun.
Exactly.
I don't know, man. That's a good one, though. That's a real good one. If I can think of it, like, right now, like, on the spot, there's 2 places, actually, that I would want to go. Both in Mexico, actually. No, actually, let's go 3. I'll run through them real quick. The Amityville house. That always caught my attention, dude. Like,
good old DeFeos.
Exactly, man. I don't know if it's a ghost or a demon in there, but if it's a ghost, I'd be willing to go. If a demon, I'm not going there.
There's also a lot of controversy that it was all just faked.
Hey, man, it'd be the perfect time to figure it out. So that's one. The second one would be there's a cemetery in Monterrey, Mexico, which it's like back to Mexico for ghosts. And if the people listening, if they heard the last podcast, they'd hear like the stories that from Mexico.
Yeah,
they're always super fucked up. But in this cemetery, supposedly if you stay past midnight, you're gonna start hearing howling coming from all around you, like right as midnight hits. And if you walk like to the center of the graveyard, there's a big like not little, it's a big tomb, and you always see a woman crying there. And if you get too close, she starts like running after you, which I don't know if that's a ghost or a demon or even a witch. But
what if she catches you?
I don't know, man. We haven't heard back from too many people that got caught, huh? But yeah, that's something that I actually seen that on a TV show that they played in like on the Spanish channels. And It's called Relatos de Ultratumba. Anybody who speaks Spanish, that's a great show to check out because they always find like really fucked up ghost stuff in Mexico. But I'm pretty sure I talked about the house in Mexico last podcast that my mom used to own.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
I want to go back to that, but now as an adult, so I can see what, like, if everything's still popping off, or if it's like my family that was being followed. Like I have mentioned, my sister Ma and my older brother, they always have stuff that follows them around.
So her and I were talking about this, and she hasn't had any experiences here.
Yeah.
But you've had the 2 sightings of someone that, you think
Man,
looks
is it
like
me?
her. And that's what we were talking about. Is it her, or could it be you?
I don't want to hear that. So I don't know, man. It might be that house too. But for next podcast, I actually have a story about my brother and then my mom, which kind of like exercised like a spirit in his house. 'Cause I know we're running out of time right now, but we can circle back to that first story next podcast. I know it's getting late right now.
Just a little bit, and we still got to eat, and then got to go edit this fun boy.
Yeah, man. But that'll be first story next time, though. That's for another time. But yeah, man, the house in Mexico, that'd be a cool place to go back and check out now that as adults, because like I said, I was maybe like 4 or 5 when I was there, and I can always like sort of remember stuff like that. Like that uneasy feeling in that house, and nobody ever had like a real explanation for like why. But I think that'd be a fun place to go, man. You should, if we ever do go to Mexico, you should come with us and check that out.
I'd be game to go for sure. After all the stories I've heard, I definitely want to go. And I know next recording is going to be fun because we're going to have some added people on to tell some more creepy stories.
Yeah, pop off a story each.
Yeah, so that'll be fun. I think I still have a couple in my repertoire that I haven't mentioned. Not necessarily mine, but have to do with my family.
Yeah. Hey, man, before we go, let me ask you a question. Do you want to visit Haiti?
Fuck it, let's go. I want to see a Haitian zombie.
God damn, you're supposed to say no on that one. You learn nothing.
I never say no.
All right, man, fuck it. Let's go.
We will go. And for those of you that have listened for a while, we did change hosts for the podcast. It's no longer going to be on Anchor. It'll be on Podbean, so check it out there. And, of course, talesfromhelheim.podbean.com. I will put the links down there. You can comment, talk to us. I think one of the shows we're going to do live, so you can hop on while we're doing that and talk to us, tell us your stories. That'll be fun. Do you have anything else to include?
Nah, man, that's all from me. Just stay away from Haiti. If anybody asks you if you want some puffer fish, you say no.
Yeah.
That's how you avoid becoming a Haitian zombie.
Sounds about right. Then we will go ahead and end it there and say goodnight to you all. And remember, always cover up and tuck in, because you never know what's going to reach out from under the bed and pull you with.